For more on congressional reaction to President Trump's actions in Venezuela, let's bring in Republican South Carolina Congresswoman Sheri Biggs, who sits on the House Homeland Security and Foreign Affairs committees. Is the United States safer right now because of what took place in Caracas overnight?
Hello, John. Thank you very much for having me today. I believe that the U.S. is much safer now, and what President Trump did is to put Americans first. He's been promising, he's been telling them what would happen if you hurt our American citizens, and I think last night just showed what he will do to back up what he says.
The president made it plain that he's not going to tolerate any interference from other countries, from the Russias and Chinas and maybe Cubas of the world. And really all three of those nations are left somewhat reeling by the U.S. action last night, are they not?
Well, I don't think they should be surprised because the president, since day one, has told individuals what he would do if they crossed America. And I'm just so proud of our troops and our members that bravely went over and executed that operation. And thank God no one was hurt, and just grateful for President Trump. And you know, the first thing I thought about this morning when I became aware early of the transactions, I was just very grateful that President Trump was our chief and that he was in control and making sure that this was carried out to precision.
I want to put up for our viewers what Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury of Massachusetts had to say about this. She says the White House, I'm sorry, she's from New Mexico. I should have said that. She's from New Mexico, and she says, the White House is confirming U.S. military operations in Venezuela tonight. Let us be clear, these strikes are illegal. The president does not have the authority to declare war or undertake large-scale military operations without Congress. Congress must act to rein him in immediately. How would you respond to Representative Stansbury?
Well, I absolutely disagree with her statement. I think what the president did last night was within his legal rights. And I do believe in accountability and transparency. And I know that we are going to be briefed this week and look forward to the update. But I'm grateful to the president. He did what he did last night without notifying many individuals because he was trying to keep our troops safe. So I commend what he did.
And it's as much of a law enforcement action as a military action. I mean, the military was there to provide safety for those who did the apprehension. But I mean, Nicolas Maduro was indicted in the United States and had a $50 million bounty on his head. This was not entirely a military operation.
Absolutely. This is about rule of law, and holding people accountable. He's a criminal. He's a thug, and he should be held accountable for what he's done. This is not political at all.
So if he is a criminal and a thug, why is he enjoying so much support, or why is this action being so widely condemned by the other side of the aisle?
Well, that's a good question. And I hope the voters will take note of this. It shows who cares for the American citizens. It's President Trump and the Republican Party that want to put America first, not hurt our freedoms and not destroy the U.S. like he has done to Venezuela.
Mike Waltz is the U.S. ambassador to the UN, former congressman. I'm sure you know him. Here's what he wrote. He says, this is not regime change. This is justice. Maduro was an indicted, illegitimate dictator that led a declared narco-terrorism organization responsible for killing American citizens. I commend our brilliant military and law enforcement operators. It sounds like you would echo what the ambassador has to say there.
Absolutely. I talk to mothers and dads every day in my district that have lost children to the influx of drugs, the fentanyl, and I'm glad that the president has obtained him, and I look forward to seeing how this plays out. It's about protecting our citizens, and everyone knows that, except for the Democrats.
Well, it's going to be an interesting time ahead as the United States runs Venezuela. That's what the president says we're going to do, at least in the short term. Let's hope it goes well. Congresswoman Sheri Biggs, we appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.